Hello, friends. Welcome to the Kumbi Jiko Show. And this is GK Sports India YouTube channel reviewing the first test or a first no test, if one can say, India versus West Indies at Ahmedabad's Narendra Modi Stadium. Match ending in just 8 sessions. 3 sessions on first day, 3 sessions on second day, and less than 2 sessions on the third day. West Indies routed by India by an innings and 140 runs. To discuss West Indies no-show or India's 1-0 lead in this two-test series, our expert player-turned-umpire K. Srinath. Welcome, Sri. As expected and as we spoke in the preview to this test match, it didn't go beyond the third day. As expected, India were on top, and West Indies, though they showed glimpses of some contest, there was actually no contest. How would you assess this test match?
To be honest, it looked like only one team turned up on the park to play a game of cricket. Why I always say this is because we all grew up, fascinated by this game of cricket and the brand of cricket which the West Indians play. I'm talking about the mid 70s running into the late 80s. Early 80s was the time, when a lot of us started playing proper school cricket, and we were following West Indian cricket so frantically that they were invincibles. They traveled around the world. Their brand of cricket was something that brought everybody to their feet. Seeing them succumb to such a defeat in 2.5 days. In fact, we were discussing saying that will the game go into day four. I think it leaves a very poor taste, in terms of a top nation failing to complete 8 sessions in a test match. And this has been a very poor advertisement for cricket, where everybody is talking about, saying that red ball cricket needs to be revived because of so much of T20 cricket being played around the world. I think if such inconsequential test matches and series happen once or twice in a year, I think it leaves test cricket in shambles actually, because just a month and a half back, we saw a riveting and pulsating five-test match series between England and India, where the whole world woke up and said that test match at its best, though the wickets that were played on were not sportive, but the quality of cricket that was played, the crowds that came in, and the intensity that was there in all the five test matches on all the 5 days. Mind you, all the five test matches going on till the last day, and some even going into the last hour of the fifth day. I mean, it was chalk and cheese. I mean, very, very deeply saddened to see the state of affairs and the quality of players that have been churned out in the West Indies side. I mean, yes, as expected, 1-0. The first test match was very much on the cards, which happened. But overall, as you mentioned, no test. Absolutely. Why is it called test match? I mean, it is a test of many things. To name a few, it could be a test of character, could be a test of your skill, test of temperament, test of your resilience, test of making a comeback, test of handling pressure. That's why it's called test match. I think India were not tested on any count, in these 2.5 days in the first test match at Ahmedabad.
True, and the only thing that went right for West Indies was the toss. But considering that the pitch it was a greenish top on day one, did you think they made the right decision in batting first? Of course, India also were going to bat first had they won the toss. But looking back, could they have done something different? The West Indies, that is.
I mean, see, as you mentioned very clearly, the only thing they got right in this whole test match was by calling right and winning the toss. I mean, if they had inserted India in, maybe, the game could have gone to maybe the first session of the fourth day. Because obviously India would have batted, at least 5 sessions and put up a massive score. And, they would have come out and maybe, bowled twice back to back, or maybe had a short stint in the second innings and taken the game into the fourth day. Otherwise, I don't think, because West Indies were not adept either in handling fast bowling or spin bowling. So now when you're playing at the highest level, at international level, when you're playing test cricket, and if you fail in both departments, That is either one, you struggle against, a spinner like Kuldeep Yadav, which most of the top batters across the world have done so. But if you're not able to pick the fast bowlers, if you're not able to assess left arm spin of Jadeja or Washington Sundar, I think then it looks like, it's just not going back to the drawing board. I think drastically there has to be a, massive turnover, and I don't know how they're going to work around and get back into this, because a very surprising, statement in the presser by Roston Chase. He said, West Indian cricket, especially Test cricket, is not in right shape. I think we are here to learn to compete, whatever. I mean, this is not the stage where you are coming in and, trying to just put up numbers and say we are here to come and participate and say, yes, tick the box because we are part of the WTC. And if this is going to be the state of affairs, I think West Indies already are there at the bottom. And I don't know if there's going to be much more, at the deep end for them to look at. I think there are darker days certainly ahead of West Indies cricket as far as Test match cricket is concerned.
Certainly, and if you look at the number of overs that they played, 44.1 overs in the first innings, 45, one over more than the first innings, 45.1 in the second innings, but their combined total 162 and 146 were almost around the same total as only three Indian batsmen combined put together. The three centurions, KL Rahul, Dhruv Jurel and his maiden test century, and Ravindra Jadeja, who is batting like he is in the best batting form of his career. What can we say about, of course, West Indies? How much ever we say about West Indies, no contest, not competing, I don't look like it doesn't. They don't seem to be improving. A friend of mine messaged saying that they are fading, and it's very sad to see that. My reply to him was they have already faded about 2.5 decades ago, and they don't seem to be improving. So that's the sorry
In
state
fact,
of affairs, and the team that was that more the other teams dreaded to face against is now getting beaten up left, right, and center, and which is very sad. But the positives from this test match, this definitely from the Indian side, Dhruv Jurel maiden test century. KL Rahul had to wait for 9 years to score his second test at home after his highest test score, 199 in Chennai. And of course, Ravindra Jadeja batting like he has been batting all his life.
true, I think from the batting perspective, I think India would be more than happy. 300s, what else would you ask for after having, bowled out West Indies for a paltry 162? Shubman Gill showed glimpse of his, class, got to a half century, and he would be kicking himself because he couldn't go on to get to the coveted three-figure mark. Again, an ill-advised reverse sweep, which caused his downfall. But that's the way these modern-day cricketers play. They don't refrain, in playing the reverse sweep because West Indies got into the negative tactic very early in their innings. We saw the left-arm spinners of Warwick and Pierre, both of them bowling over the stumps very early in the innings, which forced the Indians because sweep was an option. But when they didn't get the sweep going, they started reverse sweeping. That was one part of it. Maybe somebody like, Yashasvi Jaiswal, who's not played much of cricket after the England tour, and Sai Sudarshan would be kicking himself. Because as we were discussing, these four home test games, two against West Indies, two against South Africa. Definitely Sai Sudarshan is going to be given a run. And home conditions and, weak side is not the word I would like to use for West Indies because they're depleted. And if I have to be really brutal, I would say that, many of our top domestic teams in India would certainly give a run for this current West Indian side. That's the, quality of cricket they are playing. So that's it. I think otherwise, India as a batting unit ticked all boxes, and they would extremely be happy with the sort of batting form most of them have run in. And certainly, Sai Sudarshan or Yashasvi at the top, and Shubman Gill would certainly look to make amends. And I don't see the surface in Delhi being any different from what we saw in Ahmedabad. In fact, it would certainly play more low and slow, and spinners would certainly come to the forefront. I think Indians would be more than happy. I think they ticked all the boxes. I mean, there shouldn't be a comparison at all because there's one team competing, the other team just taking the park and ensuring that they're also there. So nothing much to rave about what Indians did. They got their perfect playing 11. In fact, we were discussing whether it could be Nitish Reddy or Padikal. So I think our playing 11 also went the same way, like what the Indian management has thought. So I think yes, overall the Indians would be very happy. Thanks to the way the West Indies played, they've got another 2.5 days of extra rest. They can put up their feet, and maybe a couple of them can get back, see their families, and then overstay in Ahmedabad, and then maybe move over to Delhi.
True, and Mohammad Siraj, according to me, he was my man of the match. 4 wickets in the first innings, three in the first spell of 7 overs, three maidens, 19 runs, 3 wickets, and in the second innings also. It was quite an interesting stat that the 3 wickets that he took in the second innings were his first wickets at all in the second innings of Indian bowling in a test on home soil, and he has played about 10, 12 tests at home, but he has not bowled much, and expectedly so because the spinners come into the picture. He has bowled only 57 overs in the second innings, and his second innings 3 wickets were his first three second innings wickets on home soil. It may be surprising, but then Siraj stood out among bowlers, wasn't it? And he has been carrying his fantastic form from the previous series, and he stood out among the bowlers. Of course, Bumrah and the spinners came into the picture, but Siraj stood out for me. Was he your man of the match also?
Look, when you have a man making 100 at whatever situation he walked in, and he chips in with wickets also. So obviously, being an all-rounder, the favors will tilt in Jadeja's way. But having said that, yes, the track was responsive on day one when Siraj bowled, and we all know the ability of Bumrah. In fact, I would say that it was just a sort of warm up for Bumrah after the fourth Test match in England. So yes, Siraj always has been, a trier, a hard worker. He doesn't bother about what surface is bowling on. Any surface, be it England, be it Australia, be it South Africa, be it in India, he runs in hard, and every ball he gives in is 100%. That's the way it is. And yes, possibly, people could think that way, but cricket is such a game which is more oriented towards batters. So I think most of the times you see batters getting the man of the match, unless it's a 10 wicket haul, or a match-winning performance. It could be 8 or 9 wickets, or somebody. I was happy to see Jadeja get the man of the match for not only his 100 but also for his bowling performance. Yes, the standout bowler I would say to start with was Siraj. He didn't look rusty. Again, because after the fifth Test match in England, this is the first game he's playing at the competitive level.
Because Siraj in both the innings gave the first initial breakthroughs, and what was more pleasing was that India held on to the catches that came their way, and some were outstanding. The catch of Nitish Reddy to dismiss Tej Narayan Chandrapal, who was coming back into the Test match but did not make the most of it. Nitish Reddy diving full length to his left, and what was so pleasing was he had both hands to the ball. And Yashasvi Jaiswal, who had a horrendous uh, whatever outing in England as far as fielding or catching was concerned, he also pulled off a fantastic catch. So that was something pleasing, and we also saw some dropped catches in Dubai for whatever reasons they were, though it was different set of fielders. Still, India as such, fielding, catching, top class.
Absolutely, I think this young side are learning quickly, and they do the hard yards, work a lot on the fielding, and they take a lot of pride in their catching, fielding, and ground fielding especially. Yes, as you said, yes, some very good closing catches, and nothing much was dropped. As I said, you can say near perfect game for India, barring the couple of glitches, because even SSV got off to a start, and yes, he didn't go on. Maybe Sai Sudarshan would be kicking himself, and yes, there's always a second Test match, but mind you, they're not going to get 2 innings to bat again. So if India bats once, they're going to bat big. That's the only innings where they're going to look at.
What can West Indies take out from this? We saw Jayden Seals and Justin Greaves being their probably the best bowler and best batsman. Greaves scoring runs in both the innings but could not make it big. Seals looked like the kind of bowler that who needed perhaps more support from the other end. So how would you what can West Indies take from this going into the next Test match?
I think these two were the only players who, tried to put up a sort of resistance and show that they were a part of, the international arena. They were the silver lining in the cloud for the West Indies team. Disappointed with Roston Chase and Shea Hope. Hope, but the way things are going should not become somebody who's going to be hopeless. So the West Indies team is looking like that. So to be honest, I think they totally look like a disoriented side, as you mentioned. Hardly getting to even play 90 overs put together in both the innings. That's a massive thing. Test match cricket is about 450 overs, 90 overs in a day, stretching into 5 days is 450 overs. How will this side withstand that? I mean, it's just not about. There was one brief partnership in the second innings between Greaves and Athanas. So where they looked, in fact, I have watched Athanas, and he's been spoken very highly in the West Indian circuit, saying that he's the future. But again, it's not just about survival instincts, because when you play in the subcontinent, especially in India, on tracks that are going to eight spinners, you have three spinners who are going to come at you relentlessly. All three of them. It's just not about their craft and guile. It's about being on the money always. Jadeja just doesn't get away from the spot. The same with Washington Sundar, and of course, you know Kuldeep Yadav will be a nightmare. They don't know whether the ball is going away or coming inside. So it's just not about playing the ball off the pitch, which many of them have struggled. It could be Australians or Englishmen. So it's going to be a long wait for them before they get to Delhi, and it's going to be really agonizing for them. And they're going to get no different conditions in Delhi also. So West Indies should first try and look to extend, play the game to the full, take it deep. I mean, how they do it is going to be tough. As I mentioned earlier, I can understand, a team struggling against spin, but this team is struggling against fast bowling as well as spinners. Nor the faster bowlers had an opportunity to come back and make use of, if at all there was some reverse swing, because there was no option for that at all. So it's a Herculean task for West Indies to to stage a comeback with a short span of time. Of course, they have given themselves more time by finishing the game in 2.5 days before the next test match. So their rest extends to that much more. So how they regroup, how they're going to fare them, what sort of changes can they make for the test match is a big question mark. And it's going to be really tough for them. As I mentioned, Delhi certainly with whatever little bit I have officiated there, the wickets are going to turn. It's going to be slow and low, and they are going to find it very difficult against this quality Indian spin attack.
And a word on Dhruv Jurel scoring his first Test 100. Of course, he's here because Rishabh Pant is not fit enough for the series. But what happens to Jurel when Rishabh Pant is back fully fit? And there are talks of him being fit and available for the next series against South Africa. So Dhruv Jurel, he has done nothing wrong behind the stumps and also in front of the stumps, hasn't he?
It's a case like Wriddhiman Saha had to wait for such a long time before MS hung up his gloves. Because MS was an integral part not only of the Test match side, even the ODI as well as T20. So a quality cricketer like Saha had to wait so long to get into the wings and ended up playing 40 Test matches. To me, Saha was one of the most technically sound wicket keepers and equally competent with the bat in the lower order. He should have played much more than what he deserved. But unfortunately, he had to displace somebody like an MS Dhoni. So I think it would be the same case with Jurel. He has to wait. But the only advantage Jurel has is with the prowess and ability he has with the bat, he can actually walk into the side as a batter.
Right.
So that's one edge he has, especially when India tour abroad. He's got that ability to play fast bowling well. Of course, he's born and brought up on the domestic circuit. Has done really well for UP because I've been following him as an under 19 boy. He always had this ability to play spin brilliantly. But the added advantage is he plays fast bowling as good as he plays spin. So when India tours abroad, there can always be an option to play him as a batter, if not as a wicket-keeper batter. So yes, it will be a forced change if Rishabh Pant gets fit because he's going to be the vice captain and he'll walk into the side. Yes, it all depends on what sort of combination India will look at that point in time because South Africa series is still some time away from now. So the focus only would be on what India will do in the second test match at Delhi.
And certainly, Shubman Gill captaining India for the first time in India in a Test. He was rewarded by being elevated into the ODI captaincy for the upcoming tour of Australia, 3 ODIs later this month, displacing Rohit Sharma as the ODI captain. So what does it mean? What is the statement that the selectors are throwing upon? Shubman Gill, two format captain, Test and ODIs, and he is the future looking at to 2027 World Cup.
Well, 2027 is very far away. So to me, I might be wrong. Subject to fitness, subject to form are always two things we always discuss when it comes to selection. Uh, the chairman of the selection committee uh, made a statement saying that he's had a chat with Rohit Sharma about the captaincy part of it and how the transition was going to happen, and it had to be handed over to Shubman Gill. Recent two trophies under Rohit Sharma: T20 World Cup, then the Champions Trophy. To be honest, ODI and T20 cricket, in the past about 4 or 5 years after Rohit Sharma took over the mantle of the captaincy, actually he redefined the way white ball cricket was played, in India. And the sort of culture he brought in, the fearless brand of cricket these boys have been playing, and the license he gave these boys, the confidence he gave to them was something phenomenal. So will Shubman Gill be able to replicate that and bring that sort of, or continue the sort of glory that India has had in the shorter and shortest format of the game? Is something to be looked at. But somewhere to me, it looks like, writing on the wall saying that 2027 is still some distance away. It's only going to be form and fitness that's going to hold in good stead. Will it be swan song for two of India's finest white ball cricketers, chase master Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma? And the way this selection committee has had things in place, their plans for the future has been very clear. And Ajit Agarkar has never minced his words. So he's taken some very bold decisions, and I would not be surprised if that could be one. But yes, looking at the future, I think it's the right direction. It's like talks always happen saying that different captains for different formats, different coaches for different formats. I think somewhere there certainly will be a gap in communication, because you might have 4, 5, 6 players playing in all three formats, and they play under different captains and different coaches. The whole setup would be a bit different than what it is. I think the move forward, unless and until Shubman Gill doesn't find his feet in T20 cricket, the day is not far off that he would also take up the mantle of the captaincy of the T20 team also, because Surya is already 34, 35 now, maybe a year or two, whatever. In the meantime, if India is looking at one captain for all three formats, I think that's Shubman Gill. I think that's the plan that the committee is looking at, and hopefully it works well for India.
And they also announced Shreyas Iyer as the vice captain for the ODI team. India play 3 ODIs starting on October 20th, and they don't have Jasprit Bumrah in the ODI squad, and there is no, of course, Rishabh Pant in the ODI squad. When you have a look at the ODI squad, any surprises or it was along expected lines? Dhruv Jurel is
I mean,
in the ODIs.
I don't think there are any surprises there. They have said based on workload management, they've given Jasprit Bumrah a break. And obviously, your fast bowling looks the same. I think Prasid has been added into the squad. And yes, Akshar Patel for some time has not been a part of the ODI setup because Jadeja was already there. And now, good inclusion is that of Washington Sundar. So India go in with two spinners, Washi and Kuldeep Yadav. And Kuldeep would be a certain starter there. And yes, somewhere you can feel that, Champions Trophy winner, and he did reasonably well in the UAE when India played in Dubai, the Champions Trophy. Ravindra Jadeja, the current vice captain of the Indian Test match side. I think it would have been a luxury to pick three spinners, to Australia in a ODI format. So that's what the reason Agarkar also was put out. And I'm on the same page with them because if you are going to get Jadeja in the 15 or 16, it's imperative that you play him. You can't carry a Jadeja and keep him out of the side. So I think it's a fair call, and absolutely no surprises. 2, 3 forced changes. One is the workload management case of Bumrah, and unfortunate injury to Hardik Pandya, which has kept him out of both the squads. And of course, the other change what we look at is Jadeja not being a part of it. And I'm happy for Washington Sundar that he's been looked at both ODIs as well as the T20 formats. Of course, one other cricketer who misses out is Varun Chakravarti, because horses for courses, he was picked for that particular sojourn because they knew the wickets are going to be slow. It's going to 8 spin in Dubai in the Champions Trophy.
Right, and they also announced the squad for the T20 leg, which follows the ODIs, and no change from the team that won the Asia Cup. So it's the same 15 that won the Asia Cup that goes to Australia. So on that note, thank you very much, Sri, for your wonderful insights. And yes, hopefully West Indies don't just turn up at the Arun Jaitley Stadium on 10th of October. They also put up some resistance, put up some fight, and push India to some extent, though they cannot push India to the farthest. But yes, at least make some attempt to test India. On that note, India victorious. Shubman Gill doubly happy with the test win, first in India, and also the new ODI captain for India. On that note, thank you very much, Sri, and see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.